person. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Salam alaikum, alaikum, assalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. But no be Muslim, it's not a Christian. And we are there for Bible, make we kill ourselves. Salam alaikum, alaikum, assalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. But no be Christian, it's not a Muslim. And we are there for Quran, make we bomb ourselves. They come from Shah, they want on with terrorists. Come from Niger, they want on with terrorists. Every day by day, them are bombing our schools, killing our youth. Say we know they happy. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Prophet Muhammad is the road to Allah. Prophet Muhammad, no, they give for Allah. They preach peace to the unbelievers. Change your ways and turn to Allah. Prophet Muhammad is the road to Allah. Prophet Muhammad, no, they give for Allah. They preach peace to the unbelievers. They can change our ways and turn to Allah. The wages of sin, say my brother are dead. The wages of sin, say my sister are dead. Eventually repent and have a life. Make you feel back our guests. Now we know they happy. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. No, they use Allah, Akbar, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep person.
Olodo, I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author, and president of African Security Forum based in the United Kingdom.
Joining me live now to discuss this further is terrorism expert and author Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by security analyst Temi Olodo. Good morning, Temi.
Ladies and gentlemen, my people, to be man, no be by muscle, to be man, no be by plenty beer. Okay, what do you know about security will concern your life, concern your family, and concern your community? How much about politics will concern you, and even concern the politics you know about? You want know more? You want sabi as they go? Oh yeah, now introducing Temitope Olodo. Yes, Temitope Olodo. Now the man wey sabi pass sabi. Temitope Olodo na professional and he gets plenty much experience as a security guru. Anything or any matter wey concern security, leave am for am because na him be the baba. Temitope Olodo na diaspora community leader with better experience for community leadership. As a political scientist, Temitope Olodo does study and understand the political space, and he gets over 20 years of news analysis with exclusive interview with top professionals at the top. I mean them the oga gang where they at the top.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome on board. My name is Temitope Olodo. It's a great honor to have you here with us today. And today our program is quite an interesting one because a lot is happening in Nigeria as we speak, and we need to really tackle it. If we are people that believe in democracy, I believe it's important that we speak up at this season or at this junction in Nigeria history. And history will record it down that we spoke up. We must not always just speak when things favor us, but you must speak when things are not actually right. So today, without much ado, it's my great honor and privilege to invite my brother, my friend on board. Thank you so much, Mr. Chidi, for coming on board. Thank you so much for granting us. I know you're a very busy man, but it's good to have you on board. How are you today?
Good evening. Thanks for having me on. It's a great honor and a great pleasure.
Excellent, excellent. A lot is happening in the Nigerian polity, and I know this is your field. This is what you do for a living. So I just felt, let's talk. Let's talk both politics and also security because both of them go hand in hand. And uh, I'm one of those people that love Mr. President, not because of anything, but because I believe at least, give it to the man for his age and for the way Nigerian politics is. He's trying his best, but there are certain things I do not agree with, and I always come out publicly. And I was really worried when all the people stood up one after the other. I know Obasanjo will not do this as much as we criticize Obasanjo. And I'm going to talk about Obasanjo a bit. I know Yaradua will not do this. And I know that even other presidents we have will not do this. But when he was in the Southeast, as one leader after the other stood up and said, we know our kids have not been doing well. We know they are very silly. We know but you cannot throw the baby away with the bat. Let's try and find a political situation. And Mr. President just stood up and said, this case is now in the court. You have to wait for it to be concluded. And I just felt, oh my God, you are addressing the Southeast and Nigeria. And you're saying you are now using, there's something in law, they say equity will not allow the law to be used as an instrument of fraud. There are times when it's convenient for you to use the law to say, you know what, that person committed an offense, so let the court deal with it. That means that your intention is not to actually help in any way. That's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not a Southeast person, and I could not understand where the president is coming from. But as somebody of Southeast extraction, when you had Mr. President say that, what went through your mind in terms of finding a political solution to the present, what do you call it, static situation that we find ourselves in the Southeast?
Okay, I think you've touched on something that's kind of critical to this situation, which is maybe the unspoken element of it, which is the political and the. So I think we need to dial it. So I will touch on one thing and then I will dial it back a little bit. The first thing is that he's correct in the strictest sense of the word, in that this is an ongoing legal case that will be decided by a allegedly independent judiciary.
Exactly.
So therefore, from his perspective, he's correct. He as a president should not be intervening in this case, should not have anything to say or do. He should just say, as he said, let the courts take their course. However, that has not stopped him before in other situations from intervening, or the AGF from intervening. We've had from the herdsmen situation, no grazing laws. The AGF, the Attorney General of the Federation, presidential spokesman, have all been happy to weigh in on these cases, even when they're either going through the courts or being proposed by other law officers. So clearly they're not consistent in that. Yeah. But from the purely technical or legalistic point of view, he's correct. He should not be commenting on it. But you're right. He should have used this as an opportunity to segue, to say, I cannot comment on this case specifically. However, talking about it generally, and then go there into a kind of a peace building offer. Because what I was saying, let's take it back. the Biafra, or I don't even want to call it Biafra because I think Biafra is a separate element. Biafra for me stands for what happened 1967 to 1970. Yep. Anything that is happening after that is different. So this IPOB, ESN, MASOB issue is a different issue.
Yep.
It is the same thing that motivates Boko Haram, that motivates the bandits, that motivated Sunday Igboho, OPC, whatever you want to call it. It's the lack of governance in Nigeria. And more importantly, the lack of justice, which is ironic considering, the comments he made. In that this is Nigeria where anything can happen. Someone will tell you to your face, I will kill you and nothing will happen. And it's true. They will kill you and nothing will happen. There's no justice. These guys, this is why I say to look at anything in Nigeria, you have to always go at least 5 steps backwards. We'll start with the Niger Delta. Their agitation started since 1966 with Isaac Boro. Come fast forward now to 1990. I can't remember, mid-90s, 1992, 1993, when you had Mossop. Again, they were peaceful, non-violent. They were just protesting. They were killed. Their leaders were executed. You come now to Mossop. When Mossop came out in 1999, again, they were peaceful. They were non-violent. Then they were killed. They were persecuted. IPOB came out. Again, with very horrible rhetoric and stuff, but they were still peaceful. They were not killing people. They were not disturbing people. They were killed. They were massacred. They were arrested. Now violence has come. People are surprised and saying these people are violent. I don't understand. The only response that has ever been to anything, when you have a non-violent action and you get a violent reaction, then I don't know what you think is going to come out of it. So that being as it is, I've digressed from what I was actually going to say. But
you're right, and I think it's important, that we put that caveat there, because we are speaking as people that live in a kind of a Western democracy, and we know that if Boris Johnson was asked that same question, he would, one, condemn violence. It will say, yes, you have to allow the court to have its course. But, what we're saying to our kids and to our brothers is, if there is a legitimate way, you have your legislators, you have this, and we can find a political situation. And if you use that language, it's the kind of language you say, why should I give anything to those people who did not vote for me? It's just kind of,
that's the mentality.
Just say it, and you don't really think about the consequences of the people that are listening. Because some people backed off straight away from that time, which was in 2015. Like, oh, really? Is that the case? Because I see you as the father of the nation, as the Mr. President, the first president, and I've seen it. You've worked in the military, I've worked in the police, and I know that when we lose one soul, everything is brought down, the flag is brought down. I don't see why anybody would want to fight with a nation where 100 of you are killed, and they just say, oh yeah, 100 people were killed, and the flag is not dropped. But when one man that ruled in 1957, or that was listening, they would drop the flag, they would take planes there, and yet you that is fighting for the nation, fighting for the nation. Nobody will even know that anything happened. In fact, they are even having their parties in different areas. Instead of saying we shut down everything for 2 days, where because that is what their kids will remember. They will say, when my dad died, what happened? Oh no, the news was still. I would say if something happens to me today and I'm in Nigeria, the UK police today, I know my kids could say, let's go back to to the 21st of May, and they will see the news saying, oh, something happened.
They will see the tribute.
They will see the tribute. They will see the prime minister going. Even if it doesn't come to your house, they will see your MP coming to your house and seeing you and having prayer. You only see them having prayers. You only see them, and they're all based on the same feather. Whether they're Christians, they're Muslims, they're all the same. Because when anything happens, that's their clique. They protect it. Once you say, let's kill the one politician, you see even the opposition coming to say, oh, no, because the protest. I've never seen of all the protests. And I know I'm deviating also, but I've never seen any protest. And I want people to tell me, if you're watching me right now, you can like this page, you can share this page. I have my brother Chidi here, and we're going to have a powerful analysis of the situation in the East. And you've never seen a situation where an ex-governor, ex-special assistant, ex-whatever, coming out to say they are protesting because their salary have not been paid. They always protect themselves. They always protect themselves. Even when an ex-commissioner's wife is picked up, the police are quick, the governor is quick to talk. But the protesters said they could go out there and slaughter themselves in terms of saying, no, this has not happened. But actually, when it comes to the to the bulk of it, that class, that clan, that tribe always protect themselves, whether they're PDP, APC, and that is one of the things that I found very sad. When we're looking at this story, because a lot of people have lost their life needlessly in the Southeast because of this ongoing situation. Please speak on.
Yeah. So I think you've touched on, or maybe kind of where I was trying to go with this, in that you're talking about a problem in Nigeria that it's not just it's not we focus very much on. It's very easy now to say when we talk about the northwest or the northeast. Let's say the northeast, Boko Haram. It's very easy for us to immediately say it's an Islamic problem. It's jihad. It's ISWAP. It's Boko Haram. It's Al Qaeda. It's whatever it is. We look at the northwest. We can, we start first saying, oh, okay, it's Muslim. Okay, it's Fulani. That's the problem. It's the Fulani against Hausa. We're always looking for labels. The reality is that it is the people against the people. It is a class war. It is it is the people who have no other voice, no other option, no way out, who are finding the only way you can get any kind of response in this country is by violence. Yeah. Because the problem is, and the lesson that they learned was not from the sky, it was from our ruling class. The people that brought violence into this country, the military, in 1966, the first coup, they used violence to overthrow the government. Another group now came and used violence not only to get rid of those people, but then to kill everybody that they said is associated with those people. That set of people then went on to rule the country for the next 50, 60 years. Yes. We've had, from the people that were in the military in 1966, we've had how many presidents from there? If our current president was part of that 1966 coup, we've had Obasanjo, you've had Yar'Adua, who was a brother of one of them, you've had Abacha, you've had Babangida, everybody who benefited from that act of violence has, you have Danjuma, who is one of the richest men in Nigeria. All of them have become, have made something of themselves. So the lesson to every Nigerian is violence works. And then this group of people and every other Nigerian politician has learned that lesson, that violence works. So if you have a problem with the Ogoni people, you don't sit down and say, okay, come, tell me what your problem is. You kill them. You have a problem with the thieves, you kill them. You have a problem with the Juku, you kill them. Bakassi is giving problem, you kill them. Everybody, you just kill until finally people get tired and push back. So the issue with IPOB, per se, the only thing that makes the IPOB issue slightly unique is that while it has all the characteristics of every other problem in Nigeria, poor governance, lack of political representation, violent reaction, is that it's also built into a myth. And the myth is of a Biafra that is the salvation of the Southeast or the Igbo nation or whatever it is. And that myth, because most of it, and ironically, everything about Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB was built around narrative, was built around propaganda, was built around, words. It was that Radio Biafra pumping it out and then using that to build up a physical structure, to build up, most importantly, a financial structure, using the diaspora, linking that back home, building a physical structure back home, all through myth, all through just words, through talking, through creating a beautiful narrative. The same way now you go to church and a pastor will tell you signs and wonders, come and do retreats, come and do this thing, miracle, this and that, and you pay your tithe or do first fruit and you go to heaven. It's exactly the same thing that he's doing. He's selling them a dream, this dream of this new Biafra, kingdom of Biafra, whatever he wants to call it. So that's why that is important, is exactly what you've alluded to. Because this was created through a narrative, it can be defeated by a narrative. Yes. If, as you said now, when President Buhari had been told that thing, he said, yes, on that, legally, I can't comment on this. However, let me take this opportunity to talk about Igbo people. Let me take this opportunity to talk about the good of Igbos, the bad of Igbos, what has happened, what happened in the past. Let's take this opportunity to let bygones be bygones and say, okay, we understand you people suffered in so and so time. We understand that you feel this has happened, but let's move on. Let's have a new narrative. I've said it for so many times. I've written about it. I've said, for me, 30th May, the day that Biafra was declared, the federal government should take that day and make it a public holiday, call it Reconciliation Day or whatever you want to call it, and let that be a day where we all come together. There's talking about what happened. There's acts of reconciliation, not just Igbo or whatever, not so, but every other community, every tribe, and build a kind of a narrative around it. An example is in America. They've got their Thanksgiving holiday. in which they come together and they all eat, I think, turkey. And so
turkey.
What's the narrative around that? That when the pilgrims, the first settlers, came to America and they were starving, the Indians brought them food and helped them and saved them and everything. You see, so, and the Americans have now said that's the idea of Thanksgiving. Families come together, and because it's a secular holiday, everybody can celebrate it. So everybody, I know many people in America who are Muslims, who are Christians, who are immigrants to America. They all celebrate Thanksgiving because it's a neutral holiday and it's around family, it's around coming together. What's the real story of Thanksgiving? The real story of Thanksgiving is that the first settlers, the first pilgrims in America, they were Christian fundamentalists. They were essentially the Christian version of Boko Haram. Yeah. They left Europe because Europe was not fundamentalist enough and went to America to colonize that country. Yes, the first year they were suffering, they were starving, and the Indians, you can say foolishly, took pity on them and helped them. When these people got their strength, they slaughtered the Indians. But today, that's not the story you're hearing.
No, it's not.
It's the power of narrative. You're not hearing, okay, we chopped your food, but we killed you. We killed you later. It's everyone came together. It's all love and that's how you create a myth, a narrative. It doesn't need to be true. This is one thing about geopolitics or anything like that, is that you need to put morality to one side. I know it sounds terrible, but you need to talk about how do you create a binding story. How do you talk to a Nigerian? How do I, as an Igbo man, talk to you as a Yoruba man, or talk to a Tiv man, or talk to an Igala man? And we're all saying something that makes sense to all of us. Because now, when I tell, for example, as an Igbo man now, living in Port Harcourt, Ikwere people have the same, their language is an Igbo dialect, their names are Igbo names, but you cannot tell an Ikwere man that he's an Igbo man. He will not accept it. He will not accept it. They will beat you there. But how do I now, as an Igbo man, create a narrative that makes sense to an Ikwere man? How can I tell an Ikwere man, there's an Igbo narrative that Igbos built Port Harcourt. How can you tell an Ikwere man that an Igbo man built Port Harcourt? Does it make sense to him? Is it not an insult to him? Yeah. So how do you create a narrative where you can say, oh, listen, all of us have something shared in there. Yeah. All of us have something that we can build, and it's not an easy thing, but you need first and foremost to be sincere. So when you have, like we have today in Nigeria, where people said they want to do an anti-grazing bill, and somebody came out and said that is against people's rights, is against people's freedom of movement. In essence, you're telling people that one set of people their rights are more than others. There was no attempt to say, we understand, the problems of the violence. We understand the problem of trespassing.
And that same person now is standing up to say he wants to be president. And you think the people that listen to you are fools? You're standing up to say there's no forest that anybody can claim right to because all those forests belong to your fathers. And that person, that same person is now standing up to say, I will deal with security issue. I don't know. It's the same thing that Mr. President said. Now, are you killing my people? And at the end of the day, he came on, don't worry, I'll deal with Boko Haram and I will get rid of them. They even wanted him to even be their negotiator, if I remember vividly. Not that I'm saying anything that the president supports terrorism. I'm just saying that is what those people said then. But at the end of the day, now, we gave him the post to say, okay, he's a former general and you handle them, but yet he's not been able to do much to deal with it. Can I ask you a question? Because you see, we're talking here, we're talking about people that have, that are a bit civilized, that understand things. And you said something that resonates with me, which is the fact that we should find a way that we can bring people together. And there are things that could be done politically. You could say, okay, under my regime, as I'm going now, I noticed that there's a bit of challenges with, some areas feeling that they are not equal. We're not equal. Is that not what Boris Johnson is doing with the leveling up department? So why can't we say we have a minister for reconciliation? I will pick an Igbo man to make him a minister of reconciliation. Believe you me, the narrative, which is what we call about superior counter narrative, this is the work me and you do. That thing will immediately, because you pump money into it, is it not the same thing you did with the Niger Delta minister? Why is it that you can have Niger Delta minister or Ministry of Niger Delta, and then when they ask for the Ministry for Southeast, Development Southeast, you kill it in the House of Congress, you kill it in the Parliament? Does it make sense? These are the kind of issues that we're talking about, because every time people are watching, when you talk about, let's give money to poor people, you will kill it in the Houses of Parliament, you don't have money. But yeah, you can award yourself different numbers of cars and say they should give you pension. And then you could say, when they say, oh, let's have Southeast development to deal with erosion, to deal with this, you kill it to say the government does not have money. But yet you can secretly set up the development. I did not even know when the Northeast development was set up, commission was set up. Nobody knew when it was set up and when it started having billions. But you see, we're not against the East and the North. That's not what we're saying. And we're not supporting what is happening in terms of the senseless killing, because we're going to be talking about that. But we're talking about equity and justice. And the fact is that there's so many people who might not be intentional, because we know there's so many people that are unemployed in the South, in the East, and even in the North. Lots of them. But yet, because the South feel marginalized, and somebody is coming to sell them a narrative that, you know what, if only we can just live, we'll use our own money, we'll use our own wealth. It will be Igbo and Igbo, Igbo for Igbo by Igbo. Who will not follow that when you are only living on 0.0, half, not even one, half food a day? Of course, when you see that kind of thing, you will follow it. So, and I know a lot of people in the diaspora are also sending money home to support this cause. What do you think is the lasting solution to these ongoing challenges from a security perspective?
So this is why I say part of the let me start again. Part of what makes this one unique is that it's a battle of narratives, and the narrative is quite simple to me, but I don't know everything. The narrative is very simple. You have sold people on this dream of Biafra, and they've been sold and they've bought into it. And this Biafra as the promised land, as everything. And when you listen to the IPOB people or whatever they are, it's almost it's like talking to. This is why I say it's like talking to a fundamentalist. It's talking to a jihadi. There's no 1+1. Everything is all over the place. Even if you confront. So yesterday, a few days ago, it was Trump was their man. Now it's Putin is their man. A few years ago, Israel was coming to fight for them. Trump was coming to fight. I think before Trump was coming to fight for them, that he was going to deal with Buhari. Then he sold Buhari planes. They kept quiet. Putin now, apparently, who has never mentioned Biafra in his life, I don't think he even knows
where they're located.
Putin is now coming to fight for them. I don't know. They said Obama hates them. There's no logic to how they reason. So it's very difficult. So it's very difficult to say that this is something where you're going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're going to make, this kind of educated argument. So the only thing you do is create a narrative. And that narrative is very difficult because we have terrible leaders in Nigeria.
Yes.
So now there's how many APC, I think 2 APC governors in the Southeast. I think how many, whether 2 PDP, whatever it is. Okay, at least I'll mention my states. That's the one I know is APC, the Supreme Court governor. Now, if you want to defeat the Biafran narrative, you just need to do your job. I'll be brutally honest. You just need to do your job. If I was the governor now of Imo State, the first thing I would do is, beyond the security issues, I'll clean the streets, get all the rubbish off the streets, start tarring roads, redevelop the schools. You say you want to sit at home every Monday, no problem. Every Monday that you sit at home, I'll send people to those schools to do some development.
Yeah.
People by themselves will now start asking, what are we doing? You want to sit at home and be, okay, every day that you sit at home, we'll go to the markets and we'll clear the markets, clean it up, put some facilities there for you. You want to sit at home now? Sit. You want to sit at home. So
don't guess you use the minimum the resource, because the road is clear that day. So you can have security. You can have security people that will guard those people to clear the place they need to clear. So the road is like environmental. If you do that every Monday, before you know it, you've already cleared the road.
You cleared everything, and then people will now by themselves start saying, what's this? It makes everything. It makes the guy saying sit at home look very stupid, because you're sitting at home saying these people hate you, but every time you're sitting at home, we come back to work and there's something better for us.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, this is security. Like most of these guys doing the killing, they didn't wake up yesterday and start killing. Many of them have been the same killers and kidnappers and bandits and cultists, that political thugs, people that used to rig election, that used to go and do they are the same people. So that's why you hear tomorrow this thing happened, and then they go and pick them up because they know them.
Oh, yeah,
Even
they
the
know
one
them.
that they killed from my side, from my village, they knew the boy when he went and was messing about. The police they called him. They knew where to find him. He's one of them. They know all these boys. These are not, the Southeast isn't that big. It's not that easy to hide. So
That is
clearing
one
it is
other
easy.
area that I wanted to ask you, because we are security people and we are involved in security mapping. And let me show this video because at the end of the day, I want people to know that it's not like that we are in support of anything that is negative. So it's important to say that sometimes Nnamdi Kanu actually caused himself all the headaches, because he's one of us here in the UK. I can say that with no apology. He's one of us here in the UK. So we know him very well.
We have cowards and spineless, lily-livered idiots as governors. They have given over our land to the Janjaweed to occupy in perpetuity. This very generation, this very IPOB will not tolerate it. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. We would rather all perish and die than to allow our land to be taken over by the Janjaweed. It cannot happen. This is a warning to all the governors who are conspiring due to one political consideration or the other to give our land to infidels and blood-sucking demons from the Sahel. It cannot happen, not under our watch. It's not going to happen. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever.
Okay, not now, not tomorrow, not never. But you see, the issue here is with the kind of population, the kind of followers he has, he could easily just say, you know what, vote for Mr. A. And that's what's going to happen. You could easily say, okay, you know what, we have 6 states, we're going to make sure we have all the governors come 2023, and then we're going to use that political leverage to say that, you know what, we want to ask, we want the constitution to be changed to recognize referendum and things like that. But they're not going down that way. They're using all kind of situation. And now the Southeast people are killing people and they're disappearing. How can they disappear, like you rightly said? Because we know who they are. These are people that they will know who they are. So if there's any solution to this crisis, do you think Nnamdi Kanu's release could help to make 2023 election smoother or better, or it's better that they just keep him there until after 2023 so that the next person will pick up the case? Because I don't see how this case will be completed before 2023. They will not complete it politically. Yeah, legally it needs to be completed quickly, but if it's completed before the 2023 election and is either sentenced to life imprisonment or is sentenced or either released, if it's released, it will embolden. If it's sentenced and people feel injustice, then that election will not hold in the Southeast. What is your view?
Okay. Let me be real and let me be honest, but also let me be careful because me too, as I said, I'm from the Southeast. Let me, before they chop my head and join, but let me be real. Yeah, the biggest issue here is that nobody wants what they say they want. Nnamdi Kanu does not want Biafra. He wants this. This is what he wants. This situation of constant agitation, where he can generate money from his followers, where he can generate power, where because as you said, exactly what you said. If Nnamdi Kanu had turned around and called every governor and said, "Can you see what I can do?" Shut down the state for 2 days and then call all the governors and say, "Can you see what I can do?" Either you support me and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, or I will support your opponent. Watch how every governor, every senator, every whatever in the South will follow him. Simple. Everything.
Even if they don't come out publicly, they will find a way to negotiate with him. It's okay. Exactly. We'll give you 3 governors. We'll give you 3 commissioners. We'll give you to just say in this state, if you want, just give me 3 commissioners in your. They will do it.
They will do it. And if he wanted something that was good for the Igbo people, he might even say, "Okay, I don't want position, but here's what I'll tell you. If you do not pay salary, I will shut down your state. If you do not pay pension, I will shut down your state. If you do not do this route, I will shut down your state." And then he will tell his people, "I've told them that by so and so they will pay salary or will shut down your state. They shut down the state." And the people see it. Can you imagine how Nnamdi Kanu will even be president of Nigeria, not even just
honestly. Other people will call him and say, "Come and do the same for us."
Come and do it now. Say, do you understand me? So that's why I say Nnamdi Kanu. I don't think the Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB, they are not that interested in Biafra. They're interested in the power they can generate from this movement. And likewise, the federal government, they're not interested in getting rid of IPOB. They're not interested in opening up the Southeast, getting business back to normal. They could have done anything they want to do.
Them
if they
the way
wanted
the
that.
situation is at the moment. Some
They-
people have
it's
said that
beneficial
it's
to them.
actually working in the advantage of
Exactly.
of the government.
It is. So if you have a if you have this situation now, for example, Peter Obi is considered maybe a potential candidate if he scales to the primaries. If he scales to the primary, he's a problem for the entire Nigerian political class. Yes, number one, even though he's a Nigerian politician himself, let's be very clear. Everyone is hyping him, but he's still a Nigerian politician. But what he's saying, at least, is problematic for the Nigerian political class.
And what he has done in the past, in terms of the little that he has done in the past, has shown that he's a kind of an individual that
he
change
might change the game. Yeah. He might, again, as I say, he's a Nigerian politician, so we have to be clear. Let's not put too much hope. He might change the game. So a destabilized Southeast is useful to neutralize Obi, stop people voting for him, and also very important again to message to the rest of Nigeria. So the hatred of Igbos in Nigeria is not something that is new. Everybody, at least everywhere you go in Nigeria, somebody will have something to say about Igbos. But this is a nice way of saying, look at these people. They are cannibals, they're this, they're that. So it's beneficial to everybody. So what I'm trying to say is that neither IPOB nor the federal government wants this current situation to end. Maybe certain factions want Nnamdi Kanu released, but what they don't want is an end to the crisis. So I think releasing, I don't want to say releasing Kanu will help or not help. I don't think it will help personally, but I think that's beside the point. I think if we're looking at this purely from the eyes of professionals, what needs to happen is the trial needs to be concluded. There should be no release without charge. There should be no, you have gone to the trouble of arresting this man, bringing him from somewhere, putting charges against him, prove your point in the law and in the court, and then either convict him or lose the case and release him, and then everybody knows that, okay, that chapter has closed, and then you can then move on to the next stage. But I think the biggest mistake you will make will be releasing him without completing this case, because all that will happen is either they will rearrest him or he will abscond, and then there will be more confusion and all that kind. So I think the best thing to do is rapidly just say that this case must conclude. Everybody stop all this adjournment, come to court, present your evidence, complete the case. If you want to put him in prison and that creates riots or whatever it is,
you can manage it. You can manage it because you'll be ready for that decision. And most countries around the world, as we can see and we've read ourselves, they take those people to court, they prepare for it, and they will say it's a court of constitutional court that actually sentenced him, and they will come out maybe under presidential pardon.
That's
after.
it.
But the issue is that a lot of people in the Southeast are still not happy that the Southeast is not giving a good shot, and their Southwest brothers have not also helped in one way or the other because of their political ambition. Because everyone wants a part of the pie, and they're not ready to share their pie. They actually want to keep the pie for themselves.
Yeah, so that again comes back to the crux of the matter, in that the part of the narrative. This is the problem of a good narrative or good propaganda. We talk a lot about the Russia-Ukraine war. Everybody's throwing propaganda out, but good propaganda depends on having an element of truth. And it's true that the Igbo people or the Southeast have been, as I say, marginalized, have been excluded, have been maltreated. So the political elements are kind of don't really factor in that much, but it's still important. But from a personal element, my relatives were killed in 1966. Even the last one that just happened, my relatives were in Sabongari in Kano. They almost got to their house before everything calmed down. This is something that happens as a recurring decimal. Just a few days ago, another one happened in Abuja. Every time something happens, Igbos get attacked, Igbos get massacred. It's not even something that is even worthy of comment. It's just expected, and that's not right. And there's never, as I said, it's a very simple thing for the federal government to come out and say, listen, we know this is happening. We're going to stop it. We're going to make sure we're going to make an example of a few people, or we're going to have an act of reconciliation. And then when you come to the political elements of exclusion, again, I'm a little bit skeptical about that one for the reason that, as I said, as somebody from the Southeast, our political leaders are very, very useless. I'll say that without fear or favor. So even giving them a higher position is not beneficial to the Igbo nation beyond
because they always protect themselves. They're all cliques.
They're not there to fight for anybody's interest. They're just there for themselves. So it's just that somebody with an Igbo name is in that position. There's nothing that we're gaining from it. But still, in the grand scheme of things, when you go down the road of saying an Igbo person cannot rule this country, but then at the same time, Igbo people cannot have their own separate country, it doesn't make sense. You say you don't want these people to go, okay, but they cannot have the same representation they cannot have the same opportunities as everyone else. Even me, as somebody that took JAM, took WAEC, people that didn't get my mark entered university. Yep. Me, I didn't enter. Yep. Those little injustices, they pile up, and this is being Nigeria, everybody shrugs shoulders, but it piles up. It doesn't make sense that you go to school, you work hard, you work harder than somebody, but that person can enter university with a score of 2. In some cases, with a score of 2, and you that went and got 100 and something, you can't enter university. It is just a glaring injustice. And then when you look at, as I said, all the stupid parastatals that we have in Nigeria, every parastatal for everything, but you look at it and you look at how it's allocated. Yeah. It's always going, depending on who is in power, it will go to whoever is the favored region at the time. And clearly, because the Southeast has never been in power, they've never got that share of the cake. Again, I discount that one from a neutral point of view, but from a perspective point of view, it's important. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's an important narrative.
And we know very well that perspective matters. Even in security, we know it's all about perspective. It's the way in which you manage, information, the way you look into information, and make it clear that you are not going to allow certain things to happen, and press it home that you're not going to allow it, and follow it up. Nigeria doesn't have that very good record, even from a security perspective, where you look at the way is the same military that will arrest people and say they are terrorists, the same military that will de-radicalize them, and the same military that will release them. Nobody else is getting involved. They are the ones that know who is the terrorist, who is not a terrorist. It's not like that in other climates. It doesn't operate like that. You have to get other people involved. And I think that's part of the narrative, part of the challenges we have in terms of security. Now, I want us to go back again to the issue of 2023 as it's coming up now. We've seen a lot of people stand up in, at least come up in the Southeast to say they want to be president. We have Obi, who many people are actually, more interested in. I don't know where the central bank governor comes from. I don't know okay, I don't know if he's standing or not, because all nominations are closed now. So we don't know. He was just telling people they can have that attack, but he wasn't actually doing anything. Then we have someone like Okorocha, who is very good in putting all his family members there. So we know what will happen when he gets there. It's why we want to be president after him. So we have some jokers that are actually standing up, but we also have very good contenders and people that are of good reputation that we could say, yes, they stand up. But the dynamics of numbers, the politics of numbers is a serious issue in Nigeria. And when you look at the politics of numbers, where do you see this thing tilting? Because people have said that the way it's going is not that we get it again. Except the 2023, except the 2022 population census that is coming up, we actually throw a different balance to the numbers, because we know where all the Boko Haram killing, all the killing is happening. So we know areas where there is killing, and we know how many numbers they're telling us have been killed. So if you have your election and you now say you will still have double or triple number, then we know that you are counting not just chicken and hens, but you are counting other things on top of it. So what is your view on that?
So this is a slightly complicated one, because it's right now the field is so vast and diverse that it's difficult to even say where it's going to land. And it's also difficult to understand what game is being played. So this APC thing of every Tom, Dick, and Harry going to buy form, or they will go and buy form for this one. Now, Jonathan, they said they bought form for Jonathan. Jonathan renounced it. They say Jonathan is not a member. Then Jonathan is a member of APC. What's going on? What are they? It's so. This is exactly what you said right from the beginning. This is the political elite of Nigeria playing their games. Everything else is secondary. It's not about facts and figures. It's all about the political elite playing their game, factions against factions. Yep. APC is a little mini civil war with itself. Tinubu with Osibanjo, with this, with everybody is fighting everybody. It doesn't. Yep. There's no coherence to what's going on. So that's why, for me, it's difficult to even. First and foremost, I don't like politics, so I'm waiting for the primaries before I even invest that much time in the whole thing, because once the primaries come out, that was where when the primaries are completed, that's when you have a better understanding of where the chips will lie. So if a northerner becomes a candidate for any party and a southerner for another party, it now becomes a north versus south issue. If it's northerner versus northerner, it now becomes a faction issue. As in, for example, is it Atiku versus I don't know, I think El-Rufai is not standing, or maybe he is. Let's say for the sake of argument, Atiku versus El-Rufai, then it becomes a point of factions. Who can build the biggest factions? If it becomes, let's say, the matchup that I want to see is Osibanjo versus Obi, because I think that one, at least, whatever baggage either of them is bringing to the party, I think both of them at least are intellectuals, are intelligent, will have at least a kind of.
Where do you put the former Senate president, who seems to be going around and making a lot of noise? But I don't know, will he pass through the primaries? Because there is another question that we need to ask, which is that all the documents that we've seen about him, we've never seen his country of birth. I think many of us know where his country of birth is, and the Nigerian Constitution is very clear, just like the American Constitution.
Well, as I said, all of this one is this is why I'm very hesitant to even engage in this topic, because it's so. Even if exactly, this one will now win primary. They'll carry him to court now and say, "Bring your birth certificate, bring your this certificate." This one it's so messy that it's difficult
because it has been rumors, and we don't know. So we're not setting this category, but it's been rumors that he was born in England, and if he was born in England, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be born in Nigeria. That is what the law says, and it's very, very clear. So the question then is, will he be disqualified by the primaries of PDP?
Or will they go to the court and have a challenge and then
just
change
like Atiku? Because the Atiku issue is not, I don't know if it's resolved yet, because they say he wasn't even born in Nigeria.
He wasn't born in Nigeria, but logically, since that territory was absorbed into Nigeria, he would then become a Nigerian. But then there is an article. So this is why I say we have a very unserious elite. Even if I was Atiku again didn't want to pursue the points because maybe he didn't want to have that hanging over his head. But then if you had a serious elite, a serious political class, they would have resolved that issue. They would have said, okay, we're going to make sure everybody born outside of our territories that were added into Nigeria, will become Nigerian. So somebody, for example, that was in Bakassi, that was born in Nigeria, that's now been ceded to Cameroon. If they now come and run for election in Nigeria, and they still have a Nigerian passport, are they Nigerian or Cameroonian? Has that been, underpinned in the law? So it all comes back to what we've said right from the beginning: governance. Just that unseriousness and that lack of seriousness about governance is underpinning all the problems in Nigeria. So for me, the primaries, how it all pans out, I really mentally, it's something that we should engage in, but mentally I don't want to engage in, because I can't see, as I said, there's maybe 2 or 3 candidates that I can see maybe might help Nigeria for move forward. But beyond that, right now, we're in a horrible stage where it is horse trading, it is power, it is money that is talking. So until we get through this stage where we see who comes out at the end, what deals have been done, who has been, because I said even for the ones that we think are good or okay, for them to emerge, they have to do deals. They have to do deals with the devil. And what those deals will cost them or us as a country, we can't say. So we have to get out and then see what's on the other side and then get to the general election. As I said, personally, I hope it's Obi Osibanjo, so we can hopefully have a campaign that's based on issues, not North, South, Muslim, Christian, it's my turn, it's your turn, I was chosen by God. Let's have issues, hopefully, but it's yeah. Even a good president will struggle with Nigeria right now.
Definitely. We have about 10 minutes to go. So I want it to be security, security, security. Let's talk about the girl that was killed, in Sokoto. I know Sokoto very well. In fact, I can announce to this group that I'm actually writing a book called The Jihadist Encounter, which will talk about my history in Sokoto and the kind of things that I went through there. In fact, I will even talk about how I got a very good dirty slap, or not one, just about 4 or 5 dirty slap, and how I had to rush out of my campus, because I was actually listed to be killed. And I'm going to tell you all that in that book. So you need to look out for that book. It's called The Jihadist Encounter. It's my encounter with jihadists, because a lot of people do not understand. That book, I'm almost finished. So please watch out for it. You will love it. Now, we found out that a guy was branding matches, and they said he was a Nigerian, and they said no, he's not a Nigerian. The school authority, I don't know what is happening. The police are saying they're putting an order out for his arrest, warrant out for his arrest, because they can't find him. Should the police go up to Niger to go and look for him? Because I know the British police will do that. If somebody has run down to what do you call that place, to Ireland, or gone to Finland, they will go there and have him arrested. But we've not had anything about Nigerian, especially in Nigeria. They're saying that, we have actually spoken to the Nigerian authority to say, no, this guy, we're picking him up. Nothing. This is a guy that was in the school. We know what happened. And you as a security, you did not even make any attempt to protect this girl from that place. Should they have kept that girl in that school, knowing full well that would have actually escalated? Because I've seen that happen over and over in the north. When the incident happened to do with this, they will go to the police station, not once, not twice. They will bring the person out and kill him. And it's as if they just take them there to fulfill all righteousness, that, we actually took them away from the point where we think there was tension. I took them to a place where people could gather, bring them out and kill them. What is your view on that?
So, I'll sound like a broken record, but it all comes down to just bad governance and a terrible political class. Because in a situation like this, there's so many factors that, any sensible government would look at and say, okay, we need to step up on this. So in the first place, you've got the religious element, a Muslim mob killing a Christian. You've got the violence against women element, something that is big with our Western donors, that we're running every day to the West and everywhere to get aid or to go for conference, and it's always about women. This is a joke that I always tell, is that if you want to get money from the West, just put women and girls in the title of whatever it is you're doing, and they will just be sending aid to you. And yet you have a single female killed by a bunch of men, a young woman in school in the north. If you look at the British government's priorities for Nigeria, it is female education in the north, and you have a girl killed in the north by a mob. That's one element. Second element is criminal justice. Just simple justice, law and order. A crime has been committed, it needs to be solved, it needs to be resolved, people need to be punished. But so, if I understand the sensitivities, I understand that, for northern politicians, you don't want to be on the wrong side of the political equation. But at this, so I can understand that in some ways.
Yes.
But at the same time, it is important that they demonstrate because they've seen what happens when this thing goes wrong. From Boko Haram to bandits, they've seen what happens when you let the mob take over. It's not pretty. The mob does not pity them. whether they are on whether they think the mob will take everybody that is in front of them.
We'll see that in the east. That most of the people that have been killed are Easterners. I've not heard of a Yoruba person. We've not heard of a Yoruba man being killed in the north, or a Yoruba woman, and we've not heard of an Igbo person being killed in the south. So it's not like they don't go and start killing other. It's their own tribe that actually, and that was what happened in the north. Most of the people that are victims of Boko Haram are all people from the north, or people that decide to go and touch the tiger's tail by going into their den under these guys of NGOs,
So even this girl now, she's a northerner. She's not like she's a southern Christian. She's a northern Christian. This is her people. These are people she knows. She knows them. So if I was the governor, if I was in charge, the first thing you want to do is, number one, you want to set up, you want to reassure people, because you can see almost immediately religious tension has spiked. You had a case in Lagos where some Okada people attacked a man, I think killed a man and wounded some other people. The identity of those people is not known, but immediately it was called Northerners murdering Southerners in the South. In Abuja, I think an Okada man had an accident, an Igbo woman died. There was some fracas. It turned into a Igbo Hausa fight, or Igbo Northern fight. In Bauchi, there's rumors now of another blasphemy. In Borno, there's rumors of another blasphemy.
The girl,
everything is if you don't nip this in the bud, it becomes a problem. And although politicians, and there are politicians who will exploit this because it's useful for them. It's useful for them to create a crisis, maybe in an area where they think they're not going to win votes, create a crisis there, cause a problem, and then they know they can control this area and they can rig this area. That means their opponent will not get the area. So so the key thing is control the situation. And how do you control the situation? The first thing is, as we said right from the beginning, is control the narrative. Get out there. First thing you do is get out there in public and say, listen, this is what has happened. Give a timeline. This is what happened. This was the incident. These are the suspects. These are the guys that are wanted in suspicion with this thing. And give people regular updates. We have arrested these people. We have arrested that person. And let it be from a credible source. Let it be coming out regularly. And if they say the boy is a Nigerian and he's gone to Niger, then make a big show of it. Call the Nigerian ambassador in. Do it on TV to say, go and bring that boy, whatever it is. That reassures people that something is happening. People start calming down. But when you leave it festering, number one, it gives other mobs, kind of that confidence that they can do this and get away with it.
Emboldens them. Emboldens them.
And also, we've also seen incidents of people using this blasphemy claim to target their enemies or people that they have a problem with. That where you're quarreling with somebody and they will just say she wants it or he caused it, and that person gets into a problem. So nipping this in the bud, and whilst you've had a lot of people very publicly and very unfortunately supporting this action, you've had many, Muslims, very thoughtful Muslims, again turning around and saying, this is wrong, this is bad, this cannot happen. It should be stopped. And you should be and if I was the government again, I'd be amplifying those voices. You had the Imam of National Mosque in Abuja coming out and justify the action. A sensible government will sack that man the next day. Will sack him and just say, we do not accept this, because tomorrow I don't know if there's a chief bishop of the federation or whatever can come out and say, Christians, go and carry guns and start and shoot anybody. What's going to happen? You're going to tell that you're going to sack that man. It becomes a free for all. So to avoid anarchy, you take control of the situation.
In fact, even if you don't sack him, you could say that you do not support his narrative. You think his narrative is wrong, and Islam is not that kind of. Again, there's an issue here where the people arrested at the scene who recorded themselves actually are now being charged for
mischief or something like that.
Mischief instead of accessory to murder. Instead of accessory to murder, we are seeing them being given sentences or being charged to court on sentences that might not even end up spending even 6 months in court.
That's part of the problem again, where you can clearly see that maybe the state or elements of the state are not interested in justice. They're just interested in getting rid of the situation. So you've charged them to court, you put them in prison. When they're in prison now, maybe there will not be any attacks on them. You can say, look, they're in prison, they're in court, we're doing something. You charge them with these crimes that will give them maybe 6 months, 1 month in prison, even if they're convicted, they will spend maybe 6 months, 1 year, come out, carry on their lives. Tomorrow we'll see one of them either as a commissioner or special advisor or something like that. That will be the trajectory. And then going back to exactly what we were saying at the beginning, if you were this girl's relative or her church member or her from her tribe, from her village, you have seen this person that killed your daughter, your sister, your colleague, your whatever it is, go come out and is now living large. What do you do next time you have a problem? Do you go and tell anybody? Do you go and tell the police? Do you go and tell your senator? Or do you just carry a gun and do to solve the problem yourself? If there's no remedy, if I have no remedies, then I have to take the action by myself. And this is the devil that they keep, and the devil and the hell that they keep opening up, in that we're not giving people a legal framework or a structured framework to get justice. They take justice into their hands. The Northwest is a classic case of that, where you had people being attacked by cattle rustlers constantly, going to the state for help. The states didn't do anything. They formed vigilantes by themselves, who then attacked innocent Fulanis, who then now joined the bandits, and then who then attacked other innocent people, who now attacked other innocent Fulanis, and that cycle continues. When all you could have done, straight from the beginning, anybody who is causing a problem, you arrest them, you quickly put them on trial, put them in public and say, look, he's been arrested, he's gone to court, it's over, calm down, let it go. And it's gone, it's done. But we don't do that.
If you have 2 or 3 advice for governors in the Southeast now, what would be your advice to them before 2023 in order to calm things down? Because we saw do your job.
Do your job.
we saw the governor of I think Imo State, Solido, actually have a conversation with Nnamdi Kanu, as we had, and the narrative is that he does not support the sit at home and that he's not happy with all the killings that is going on. If that is the statement that is coming from him, that is a kind of a welcome development, because the bloodshed in the Southeast need to stop, and we must find a way to stop it. So are you just saying do your job, or call the reconciliation? What can they do? They know these guys are doing this thing.
The point you raise is a good one, the Soludo and Nnamdi Kanu meeting. But again, like everything in Nigeria, it was mishandled. Number one, there should never have been any photographs of that meeting. Soludo should have met Nnamdi Kanu, and the condition should have been very clear. I need you to do a broadcast on TV, on not just on Nigerian TV, on give interview to BBC, give interview to Al Jazeera, to BBC, to everything. Go on your same Radio Biafra. We will bring equipment here. You go on the same Radio Biafra and tell people clearly, do not sit at home. I denounce killing. Anybody who kills, go against them. Say it in English, say it in Igbo. Do it, and there's no going back. Say it, commit to it. Don't say, I'm happy to do it. Do it. And then after that, you can announce the meeting. But all that came out were pictures of Soludo hugging Nnamdi Kanu. All it looks like is either Soludo is supporting him or Soludo is going. It just completely ruins the message. Right? And then you're saying he's happy to do it. Okay, so do it. Come out and condemn it so that we know that true, anybody doing sit at home is not IPOB. Then IPOB can hold up their hands and say, these are not our people. But so there has to be that kind of engagement. I mean, I'm very clear, whilst I'm very not partial to IPOB, there has to be engagement with them.
Yeah.
You have to talk to them. While I agree with their objectives, I don't agree with their narrative, you have to understand that there is a legitimate grievance in the injustices that have been done to them, and there is a legitimate underlying grievance in the Southeast. So you need to engage with IPOB. So you need to engage with Nnamdi Kanu. You need to engage with this, what's his name? This guy in Finland, this Ekpa, and all these other people. You need to find a way to engage them. The gunmen in the bush, again, it has to be an engagement. You have to call them and say, it's time to come in. It's time to stop. Come in, or else there will be a consequence. And then you step up on them. And when I say come in as a consequence, it's not amnesty. This amnesty culture in Nigeria has to end. We can't continue this thing of bringing people, giving them money, giving them fine food, giving them 3 square meals, and then after 5 months, they get tired and go back into the bush. It has to be a very clear thing. If you surrender, you bring in your weapons, you have a very quick trial, your sentence will be capped at maybe 5 years. We'll go and talk to the EU or US and say, help us build a special prison to Western standards. We'll put them in that prison. They will undergo training if they're not trained, but they must stay in that prison for 5 years. And then you come out and then you're kind of a rehabilitated person. But it cannot be take $100 and go and sit or go and enjoy your life when people who have been working hard, you've seen your relatives being killed and eaten by these people, and then now you see them living large. It's not a solution for.
We're going in another 30 seconds. I wanted you to say something to the federal government or the military's assertion that they have 30,000 people that have now been there. They are now de-radicalizing, that are surrendered, more or less. What's your take on that?
I think that should not be a job for the military. The military should be focused on the defense of the fatherland. The police should be detaining these people, yes. And then there should be a special agency like NEMA or whatever agency you want that is focused on in fact, in Nigeria now, you need an agency on de-radicalization. There's so many radicalized people, and you need that de-radicalization element to focus on, as I said, not anyone who has committed a crime should have a punishment. Anyone who has just been radicalized should be de-radicalized and given an alternative livelihood. And that de-radicalization has to extend abroad. Yeah. The ones here in the UK, the ones in Finland, the ones in America, we need to partner with these countries and say, this is a problem. We need to have these people brought in, not arrested, not harassed, brought in and put through a de-radicalization program, and try and win them off this situation rather than demonizing or killing them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've had it all. Thank you so much for staying with us. We've done 1 hour, 5 minutes now. Thank you so much, Chidi, for this great conversation. We've talked about the Southeast and 2023, and we've touched on so many topics. And it's a great honor to have a legend with us who is a security expert. So until we meet again on Saturday next week, please stay in tune, like this page, share this page, and let us have a great time and have a lovely weekend. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless you.
Sahara Productions. Though they use Allah, what to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, they keep saying. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, they keep saying. Though they use Allah, what to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, they keep saying. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, they keep saying. Salam alaikum, alaikum assalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. But no be Muslim, is not a Christian. And we are there for Bible, make we kill ourselves. Salam alaikum, alaikum assalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. No be Christian, it's not a Muslim. Now we're there for Torah, make we bump ourselves. They come from Shah, they want on with terrorists. Come from Niger, they want on with terrorists. Every day by day, them are bombing our schools, killing our youth, say we know they happy. So they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is crazy, they keep saying. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, they keep person. But they use Allah, what to they keep people. Allah is great, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, they keep person.
Mr. Paolodo, I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author and president of African Security Forum based in the United Kingdom.
Joining me live now to discuss this further is terrorism expert and author Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by security analyst Temi Olozo. Good morning, Temi.
Ladies and gentlemen, my people, to be man, no be by muzzle, to be man, no be by plenty bia. Okay, what do you know about security will concern your life, concern your family, and concern your community? How much about politics will concern you, and even concern the politics you know about? You want know more? You want sabi as they go? Oh yeah, now introducing Temitope Olodo. Yes, Temitope Olodo na the man wey sabi pass sabi. Temitope Olodo na professional and he get plenty much experience as a security guru. Anything or any matter wey concern security, leave am for am because na him be the baba. Temitope Olodo na diaspora community leader with better experience for community leadership. As a political scientist, Temitope Olodo don study and understand the political space and he get over 20 years of news analysis with exclusive interview with top professionals at the top. I mean them the oga gangan where they dey at the top. Yes, ke by ogbonge family. Shine your eye, open your ear. Temitope Olodo na the man wey sabi. Oh yeah, na as e hot as